Bonsoir, tout le monde. Welcome, everyone. I have with me today, to my right, Councillor Leo Azarad, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Orensbag, Councillor Mitch Kajaski, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Mike Cohen. We also have the City Manager, Jonathan Schechter, to my left, and we have our Director of Communications, Sarah Levine, to my right, and notre Directeur Légal, Pascali, qui est avec nous aussi. Et ça, c'est tout le monde qui est là pour vous répondre à vos questions et pour présenter l'agenda de ce soir. So before we start the meeting, we're going to put the video on that will have our land acknowledgement and rules.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. L'île de Montréal, où nous sommes réunis aujourd'hui, porte un nom beaucoup plus ancien, Shoshague. C'était un lieu de rassemblement historique pour de nombreuses communautés autochtones. C'était aussi un lieu de diplomatie où a notamment été signé le traité de la Grande Paix de Montréal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. Nous devons reconnaître le passé afin d'avancer avec un esprit de collaboration et de réconciliation. Justice, remembrance, cultural freedom and inclusion are important values to the city of Côte Saint-Luc. Many residents and their descendants have made their lives here, having fled dire conditions elsewhere. Canada was their refuge. But for Indigenous peoples and communities, government policies in Canada created injustice. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Shokshage. It was a historic gathering place for many Indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. We thank the Gagnou-Gehaga Nation, also known as the Mohawk Nation, for their hospitality on unceded territory. We must acknowledge the past so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
La ville de Côte Saint-Luc permet aux résidents et aux non-résidents de poser des questions en français et en anglais lors des séances du conseil. Toute personne souhaitant poser une question doit, au début de la séance du conseil, remplir le formulaire à cet effet qui se trouve à l'entrée de la salle du conseil. La période de questions d'une séance du conseil est limitée à 30 minutes, mais elle peut être prolongée sous réserve de l'approbation de la majorité des membres du conseil présents. Compte tenu de cette limite de temps et du souhait de permettre au plus grand nombre possible de personnes de poser des questions, chaque personne dispose de 3 minutes pour poser une question et une question de suivi au maire. Avant de poser une question, chaque personne doit indiquer son nom complet. Après la discussion des points à l'ordre du jour, il y a une deuxième période de questions. Au cours de cette deuxième période de questions, les participants peuvent uniquement poser des questions sur des points à l'ordre du jour. Finalement, personne ne peut utiliser un langage violent, offensant ou irrespectueux lorsqu'il adresse une question au maire. The Côte Saint-Luc City Council allows residents and non-residents to ask questions at its council meetings, in French and English. Every person wishing to ask a question in person must, at the beginning of the council meeting, fill out a question period form, which can be found at the entrance to the council chamber. The question period at a council meeting is limited to 30 minutes, but may be extended, subject to the consent of the majority of members of council present. Given this time limit, and given the desire to allow as many questioners as possible to ask questions, every person has 3 minutes to ask one question and one follow-up question to the mayor. Prior to asking a question, every person must state their full name. Following the discussion of the council agenda items, there is a second question period. During the second question period, attendees can only ask questions about items on the council agenda. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start the question period in a minute, but first I want to, we're going to have a moment of silence. I'd like to make note of a couple of important events over the last month. First, yesterday marks 100 days since the hostages are still being held in Gaza. And we will think of them during our moment of silence and hope for their swift return home. We also lost a special person in Côte Saint-Luc. We lost several, but one that's very close to our hearts, who was a VCOP and a husband to former city councilor Ruth Kovac, Peter Kovac. He was a dear friend, very close friend for many, many years, based on working very closely with his wife and having a close relationship with his siblings in many capacities, as well as with his children. So I send our condolences on behalf of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and our city council, my wife Elaine, to their entire family, siblings, and children, and may they have no further sorrow and have good memories of Peter. So we'll have a moment of silence, and then we'll start with question period. Okay. So we have 3 questions registered. We'll also have, I think there's at least one question that's been provided online. As promised, we've implemented a system where you can also ask a question based on business that's happening during the meeting, not only if you're present, but also from home by sending it in online. Communications Director Darrell Levine is working on screen with those individuals that are at home to advise them when they can and how they can provide their questions. And he will advise them before we do the item, the last item on the agenda, that it is ideal that they ask all their questions before or at period of urban planning, because at the stance on issues to be presented at the AGLO, which is item number 14 tonight, there will be no more questions received, because we want to make sure or hope that we receive any interested question on the agenda before the meeting ends. If by some chance a question comes in too late, it will be addressed by email and at the next meeting. So the first question for tonight is David Torgman.
Council. I just want to thank the council and the mayor for the compromise allowing questions to be asked by email for the second question period. It's a great thing to allow residents more often, so I wanted to thank you.
You're welcome. The next question is Sharon Freeman.
Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope you all had a very restful vacation. And we're back, okay? The ongoing saga of Cavendish. You know, I got your email. I had sent a letter in French, and I thought maybe if the French wasn't so good to Gibault, I also wrote it in English, asking her to take over for the Cavendish extension because it's not going anywhere. Also, given that the mayor of Beaconsfield is suing Mayor Plante for lack of services, given the huge monies to agglomerations that they have to pay, given that there's another lawsuit last week that was filed against Mayor Plante, and given that there are 4 powerful mayors who say they want Cavendish, yet in all these years, we are getting nowhere to build a 1.7 kilometer of road that is not complicated. I'm asking this council to consider adopting a motion to requesting that Gibault take over the project, or withhold our monies that we give to Montreal. I think we should anyway, because I don't know what services we're getting from them. And given that she made the promise for Cavendish and made the promise that she was going to the PAP for the environment, she did nothing. She's not doing anything on anything. It's, I called it in my last Facebook thing, I called her Project Nothingness, because in 6 years she's accomplished nothing. So there's that. We can do that. I've asked you many, many times if we could sue. We are going nowhere, and I'm asking you, what can you adopt this motion to at least write to Gibault? She's taken over several projects and she's actually completed them, because this way, with 4 mayors and occasionally you have a spritz in the paper, nothing is happening. What are you prepared to do that's going to be a bit more aggressive in nature, given that there's already all these lawsuits against Plante? And I would love nothing more than a lawsuit against Plante.
Meeting with Mayor D'Souza and Mayor Malouf and Mayor Levy, where we meet regularly, of course, on this issue and others lately. And we are meeting on Cavendish. I'm meeting Ellen D'Souza and Peter Malouf on Wednesday, and then we'll have another meeting next week. And we're having meetings with various individuals at various levels of government, whether it's provincial, Montreal. I have a meeting with Sophie Masserola also. So we're pushing what we can. Now, are we going to pass a motion or resolution? We'll take that under advisement to see if that, for our committee, if they're interested in doing that. But I can assure you that we're pushing, and we're having a lot of strategy meetings and meeting people at higher levels than Mayor Plante in order to see if this could be pushed through, because obviously we're not getting.
You are having a meeting with somebody
higher than Mayor Plante.
Because I do have the letter that I wrote to Gibault in French and in English. I got a nothing response back, but I plan to call her office. I do plan to call her.
I think that's very good, Sharon. I think that the right strategy is for the provincial government. They have an obligation to enforce an agreement that has been agreed upon by the city of Montreal, where monies have been received by the city of Montreal, and they're holding them and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing with them. So that is the right approach, and keep on doing it. So we're going to keep on moving after the province as well as Madame Plante. We can't just expect her to keep her word, can we?
Okay. I have a second question.
Yes.
Okay. Several business owners have heard from the owners of the Carey Square that they are starting to build. So again, if he's planning to go ahead and starting construction, what exactly is being planned for the area? I've come here many times asking, what is the plan? How many buildings? And each time I've been told nothing's been planned. So again, what is being planned for the area? And since he's telling the store owners and businesses that they're going ahead, first of all, how could they go ahead if there's no Cavendish?
Well, they can't exactly go ahead. You want to ask? You want to explain how the process works? Mitch? Master plan, I guess, right?
Go ahead.
Or what would you like?
I can speak to it from a PAC point of view.
From a
but-
PAC point of view?
Sure,
How it works? Just
I
how it
can
works?
certainly add from a legal process. point
Legal
of view.
and PAC,
Yeah,
because
sure.
there's a process.
Sure.
I'll be very brief. There's no construction proceeding. There's nothing in place yet, no plans in place yet. They want to redevelop at some point in the relative near future, but there are no permits, there are no plans, there's nothing definitive yet other than a proposed redevelopment of which we have not seen a first draft yet. It's that simple.
Okay, I just hope you, I
Yeah,
hope
go
you
ahead,
keep in
sure,
mind.
no, and
So,
Councillor
I'm-
Sabag would like to speak.
Thank you,
to
Mr.
that.
Mayor. I just want to add real quick. All they have is an intention at this point, right? They bought that place with the intention to redevelop. That's all they have right now. They're not rebuilding. I don't know who they're telling they're rebuilding. We don't have a plan. So it's not like we're telling you something and then telling them something else, right? This is you have all of council, you have the mayor here, we're doing it publicly. There's nothing within the plan that suggests that they have anything to go on to develop. They have to they have to change the zoning, they have to come up with a plan that makes sense to us. I've said it many, many times.
And
I'll
you need
continue saying-
Cavendish, right?
I'll continue to say it again. This development has to be in collaboration with the zone, with the people around that area. So that can take years before it gets to that.
Okay.
We're not
Thanks.
saying that it's not going to happen, but we're in the process of working with the 3 malls on future master plan, and the public is going to be involved in the whole process.
All right, thank you.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't have too much more to add. I think both Councilors Kajewski and Sabag said it quite well. Just from vision to realization, there is a process, and we are really only at the inception right now, where we're starting our own processes and we're examining our own master plan. And so we're not at a point right now where there's a shovel in the ground. There's still things that need to occur.
Norman Sabin.
Good evening. In the future, I don't want to question after Sharon because she makes all the good points. So it's tough to follow her. I just want to make a few points. I agree with her 100% that I think Montreal, they don't need Cavendish. They don't want Cavendish. And they don't have the money for Cavendish. I think whatever money they had is, I don't know where it's gone, but I don't think they're going to put any money into it now. You know, I speak to some people, I ask people, I say, do you want Cavendish? You don't want Cavendish? I ask my friends and whatnot. And some people say, you know, we don't want the traffic, we don't want the noise, we want the pollution. Some people say we want to, you know, we want to go to IKEA and the airport, and, you know, whatever, the West Island. And I don't know what this council, if you're unanimous on it, that you all want Cavendish extended. I'm assuming that that's the case. Is that correct?
Well, what has been presented to this council and what we thought was going to be going forward
Okay.
was
Yeah,
1 lane for cars,
right.
lots of room for bike paths,
Right.
tramway or a speed bus on the middle, and then a very wide,
Yeah.
wide green space that would allow for whatever else is needed in the future. And this whole council supports that. Of course, we'd like 2 lanes both ways. So
Well-
that's the position of our city.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to have certain minimum requirements and 2 through lanes, et cetera. So assuming it gets done right, I thought maybe to help you sort of make a decision about maybe taking legal action, that there should be some sort of referendum in Côte Saint-Luc where you actually ask the people what they want, you know, about Cavendish. You know, I don't know if it's been done yet, if there's been any type of survey done about it, but maybe it's time to get a statement from the citizens of Côte Saint-Luc and have some sort of a referendum and say, do you want Cavendish extended or not? And sort of see what the population says, because I think if you can get at least a 2/3, you know, yes answer to that, it's a very strong mandate for you to go ahead and really push for us, you know, which could involve legal action, but I think having a statement from the population now is very important. And I think that could give you fuel to approach, you know, the next 12, 18 months before the next election. So I just wanted to sort of throw that out here and see what you think about that. It doesn't have to be, no, I don't you go spending tens of thousands of dollars, but it could just be a sort of a survey. Each household gets some sort of a, you know, question. Do you want Cavendish extended, you know, through to Town of Mount Royal and Bill Saint Laurent? One ballot per household. And then you'd get back, I don't know how many homeowners we have here. Is it around 5,000, 10,000? I don't know. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who would be willing to answer the question and get some real, you know, scientific data in terms of whether the community supports it or not, because you might be surprised. You might get a lot of people still say no. Or you might find there's like 80% of the population does
Okay.
want to have.
I'll leave that to I like the suggestion. Of course, our director of communications, Darrell Levine, is here. And he's a specialist on polls and on referendums and whatnot. So I'll leave that to him. But
Do you think it's? a
we're
good
still
idea?
pushing for it. You're suggesting maybe we shouldn't be. that would, the poll would show otherwise. It seems like it's been
Well-
so many years already that it's, and from the feeling that I'm getting, speaking to people over the last 30 plus years, it seems
Yeah.
like the tide has gone more and more and more. We need Cavendish.
Yeah,
I
think it's
would be
true.
very surprised otherwise. Councillor Italy?
Yeah, if I may, I'll just add my 2 cents. I think it's a good idea. I think the issues are, usually we'll do a referendum when it's something we can fully control. For example, I know in Montreal West, they had a referendum on building a new, multi-purpose, form of an aquatic center, or their own version of the ACC. There, I mean, it came down to their budget, whether they're going to spend it or not. Here, even if 100% of the residents of Côte Saint-Luc said yes, this is still something we cannot afford on our own. It'd be $100 million plus project. Now, would Montreal care? I don't know. If Montreal doesn't care right now so much, will they care? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just playing the devil's advocate, saying I don't know how, if it would actually help us that much.
Well, I think it helps you in terms of whether you're going to take legal action, because if you don't, I don't see this thing going forward, because Montreal's been stalling. They haven't even commissioned the environmental study. Once they do that, they have 12 months to get it done. Then the BAPE has another 12 months to review it. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we're talking about 2 years down the road. So the only way to really get them to act is to, like Mayor Burrell did in Beaconsfield. I mean, you have to take legal action. I mean, this Projet Montréal, like they're on their own, they do their own thing, and they don't really care what Côte Saint-Luc has to say or what our residents feel or what they want. But I think having a statement from our population helps you decide whether to go ahead with legal action and, really try to make things go forward with this.
Councillor Kajewski wants to add something?
Yeah, just a quick, I think you maybe misused the word referendum. This isn't a matter of like a vote or an official.
But it's popular in Quebec.
Yeah, more like, yeah, exactly. It's a popular word for sure. But yeah, survey, we're talking about surveys. But, and I was thinking about it. It is an interesting idea. It's a good idea. But we have to think about in this time of budget cuts, if we're going to spend X tens of thousands of dollars on a survey of this magnitude, and it wouldn't be something small. If you're talking about a citywide question, number one, what would the question be? That famous question, what would the question be? Or what are we asking people to vote on? Cavendish Boulevard, a Cavendish extension, a Cavendish, I like calling it the Cavendish connection, but it hasn't caught on yet. I don't think of it as an extension anymore. I think of it as a connection to Royal Mount, a connection to Jean Talon, eventually a connection to the other Cavendish, which should really be called something else. But in the time of budget cuts, if we're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars, there has to be some type of return on that.
Okay, Mr. Saban,
What
you've
about
asked the
any,
questions. I'm not going to allow you to ask any more questions on Cavendish. I have a list of speakers that want to respond to you. So
Okay.
I'll ask you to sit down. But I have a list of speakers that still want to speak. So
Okay.
they're going to get to speak now.
I just want to
That's
say email, maybe just a quick email survey.
So it goes
Point
to,
of order, Mr. Mayor, just, we have already provided about a year and a half ago, and Councillor Brooke, who I'll speak on her behalf in her absence, that she really championed, and we all sent out a survey that went directly to the BAP, and actually Côte Saint-Luc, it was sent out to different people involved, different municipalities. And the respondents were 90% Côte Saint-Luc, if I remember correctly. I can go back into my email and find this information, or I can call Councillor Burku after the meeting, but we have already provided that.
yeah, and my apologies, Councillor Berger's not here today because she has RSV. She's not feeling well. Doesn't want to give it to anybody. Councillor Azra?
Yes, so in addition to that survey, there was also a question in the master plan survey that also asked about connectivity, getting in and out, using different types of mobility. So that was also addressed there, and it was overwhelmingly response that they wanted that some sort of access out, like Cavendish extension or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
So
I
we have different data points that help guide us towards that, showing us overwhelmingly that it's needed, whether you use a car or a bus or something like that.
But I think the taxpayers are the ones that are going to pay for this lawsuit, and I think they should all have a say in it, in terms of what they really feel.
The master plan survey was sent, was accessible for every resident in October, in fall of 2022. So sent out, people responded, and it was besides specific questions of free form for people. So you're maybe right, maybe more data points are needed, but based on all the different data sets that we have from different surveys and questions that were asked in the past, we have overwhelming abundant information showing us that it's needed.
And supported, and
Yeah,
supported.
for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, we know the money has been provided. That's right. Yeah. Well, a lot of it's in their bank. I don't know in which file and which, where it is, but it's supposed to be in their coffers. Okay. So we have any other questions up from online or send in writing? I think there is one, at least one.
We have a question from Mr. Mark Needleman, who said he would like to extend huge compliment to a snow removal crew working our neighborhoods. Excellent job. As for the rest of this island, snow removal has been dismal so far. Which brings me to this next query. The city of Beaconsfield has launched a lawsuit against the city of Montreal for excessive and unfair taxation. Why do we not join them? Aside from our excellent fire department, all of our services provided by Montreal are poor and wasteful. Lousy planning and poor judgment has caused Montreal to be in a huge deficit, and they now rely on the heavy taxation of the surrounding communities to make up the shortfall. Let's also do something, like jump in with Beaconsfield.
Thank you. We are a mise en cause. The Association of Suburban Mayors, all the cities are part of that court action. We have our own attorney because the facts with respect to the potentiel fiscal and the formula is a little different perhaps. So we have our own attorney, but we are a part of the Beaconsfield case. Any other questions? No? Okay, so then we'll continue on with the agenda. And the adoption of the agenda, I guess we should have done that right at the beginning, but go ahead, Councillor Cohen. Moved by Councillor Cohen,
I
second.
so move, that the adoption agenda.
Excellent, seconded by Councillor Azarad.
And that adoption will be with the addition of the tabling of the certificate of results.
Which is added on to other business at the end of the
Correct.
meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes, item number 2, Councillor Cohen.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting of, should I do them all together?
Sure.
The meeting of December 11th, 2023 at 8 p.m., the special meeting at December 18th at 6 p.m., the special meeting at 7 p.m., and the special meeting of December 20th at 6:30 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
Let me just add, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank Councillor Early for doing an outstanding job in your absence. He really performed above and beyond the call of duty.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we move to any business arising from the council minutes, any government correspondence. So then we go to departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The monthly reports submitted for December 2023 be and are hereby approved as drafted.
Seconded by Councillor Kajavsky. Any discussion? Who wants to go first? Departmental reports. Councillor Schuster.
Well, the departmental report for December was a summary that we've already covered, but I just thought I would do some promotion for what's coming up. We have a self-defense workshop that Recreation has organized. It's a 4-hour workshop on Sunday, February 11th, starting at 1:30 p.m. $50 for residents, $62 for non-residents, and a 20% discount for seniors. And please contact registration for more information and to register. The Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society spring production is the Sondheim musical Into the Woods, involving the intermingling of different fairy tales and promises to be a wonderful success. I've already been involved in some of the audition process. Auditions are going on this week. And those who didn't have a chance to get an in-person slot can still audition via sending in a video. Winter Carnival is coming up on February 4th. Starting at 11 a.m. at Trudeau Park. There's going to be ice sculptures, snow games, maple taffy, the skating show, and all the favorite events that you know and love from Winter Carnival. And that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Ridley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start on the budget side. So first, a reminder to residents, the first tax bill installment is due February 22nd. The second one is on May 23rd. The tax bills will go out by January 22nd, so they're just being printed and finalized. And if you want more information, of course, you can go to our city website to see the budget presentation and documents there as well. I'll share the end. So we're actually the end of 2023, just a little bit before, we ended up hitting 2.5 million for transfer duties or welcome tax. If you recall, I'd mentioned previously, we had budgeted last year for 4 million, which was based on the previous few years where we were in the range of 4 to 8 million. And at a certain point, we thought we weren't going to even hit 2.5 million and be more than 1.5 million short. So in the end, we're at 2.5. We'll probably finish just a little bit above that. So still a significant loss or significant reduction, but much less well, I would say the damage could have been much worse. We're hoping, and a personal note as well, hoping interest rates go down soon. My mortgage is up for renewal in April, so I'm hoping before then, things will happen. I'll just mention a few other items. So 150 filter claims were done as of the end of the last year. So a reminder to residents, again, if you live in a home that may have a lead service line, please get a filter that filters out the lead, and you can get rebates from $50 to $200 depending on the type you get. On the environmental side, I'll just share 2023 was a record amount for the redevance. Redevance is the grant we get from the government in terms of based on our diversion of waste and so on. So just an example, we got 612,000 in 2023. We compare that to the previous year, we had 527,000. So a significant increase. And when we look at the number of kilograms per person per year, and I should say on this one, I don't have 2023 yet, but I'll just compare 2022 to 2021. We went from 255 to 241 kilograms per person per year. Obviously, the goal is to continue to bring that number down, and we hope it'll continue to do so. And that's it for now. So I'll pass the baton on to other councillors. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, well, Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of items. First of all, December of 2022, the library newsletter at that point had 1,496 subscribers. It's now up to 2,148. So we're pleased that we encourage more people to subscribe, get a lot of interesting information, including highlights of what's coming up. I've been very pleased during this mandate to be hosting a regular local authors video segment. And on the most recent edition, I interviewed Dr. Christopher Labos. You could find that interview on the Côte Saint-Luc Public Library YouTube channel. Under the local commerce umbrella, last month, Councillor Schuster went to see the owners of the West End Cavendish Athletic Club. It's owned by the father and daughter team of Martin and Margot Wenger. You can read about it on our website. You just have to go to cotesaintluc.org and click in Spotlight on Local Merchants. The section will appear. This afternoon, I was in the Dr. Orange Sabag's area, actually. And I was with Heidi Witt, who is a long-standing real estate sales rep executive. She's been doing it now. She's celebrating her 20th year. So I thought it was appropriate that she be recognized as our merchant of the month, if you will. So I was there today, and you'll be able to read about that very soon. Also on our website, we are basically taking the merchant of the month on the road. We're open to suggestions from people because every time we have somebody, whoever makes the presentation, sometimes we do it as a group. I know Councillor Schuster went to the West End Cavendish Athletic Club and got to meet the owners, talk to them, and it's just been an outstanding experience. I want to thank the mayor publicly for giving me that portfolio. I'm really enjoying it, and we have some very interesting things to come in 2024, which I will share at another time. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Under Public Works, Councillor Ben-Israel is not here today. He just got off a plane back from Israel, but we got a very nice email today or yesterday from a resident about our operations for snow removal, and the resident is one of Councillor Sabag's residents, and I asked him if we could read the email out to thank the workers at Public Works for their good work and kindness. So Councillor Sabag is going to read that email. Thank you, Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, we do get quite a few emails on snow clearing and ideas, and sometimes we get complaints as well. I always say we try to catch the snow before it falls here in Côte Saint-Luc, but we'll get there eventually. So I'm going to read the email, and it's from Mr. Jason Caron. He lives on 6295 David Lewis, a hard street to clear the snow effectively there. It's narrow with multiple cars on the side, on the street parking on each side. To whom it may concern, I'm a city of Côte Saint-Luc resident. I'd like to commend the snow clearing services of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, and especially the individuals rendering those services. I've been impressed with the city snow clearing services for the past several winters, but as we're early on the winter season, I thought I would make the point to share my feedback and my experience today. To begin, I find that the snow clearing crew in Côte Saint-Luc are generally on the street promptly and work efficiently and attentively. Given that I parked one car overnight on David Lewis and was actually briefly out of town, our car on the street was surrounded by much hardened snow that I had accumulated from the previous clearing operation 2 days early. This made it very difficult to move the car, which I wanted to do prior to moving to the major clearing operation that was beginning soon after. I therefore took a metal shovel and began shoveling. Seeing this, a young city driver and a small sidewalk clearing truck interrupted his operation to cross the street and offered to gently clear much of the accumulated snow around my car. They saved me much time and energy. What a kind and thoughtful gesture. Very much appreciated this Menschlichkeit gesture. It's in parentheses in Yiddish, classy and generous action. In addition, I then proceeded to clear additional accumulated snow off my property into the street. Seeing this, the truck driver of the larger clearing trucks kindly saluted and waved as they passed. Again, this is friendly reaction. This friendly reaction was friendly and kind. In conclusion, thank you for engaging city workers or outside service providers that value kind customer/citizen services and perform their task with diligence, efficiency, and thoughtfulness. Many thanks. Regards, signed, Jason.
Thank you. No, thank you. I wanted to read that out, particularly because I want our public workers to hear it. So hopefully we'll spread the word, and anybody who sees a public worker clearing the snow, you can let them know that we appreciate their great work and that some residents really want to show their kindness.
If you don't mind, I might like chiming in. I got an email just before the meeting started as well from one of my residents, Susan Fox. Bravo to the Public Works for an amazing start to the snow clearing season as well. So we do get those.
Yeah, we do get those. And we've been hit with storm after storm after storm now. I mean, it was all green and then it hit. And it seems like it's like every 2 days another storm. But we'll keep on doing our best. Okay, so if there's no other comments on the department reports, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to item number 7A. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of December 1st to December 31st, 2023 for a total amount of $6,655,810.77 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer Certificate number 23-0144 dated January 5th, 2020. I think that should be 2024, now that I'm reading it, has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So I'll go through the list just maybe for the minutes to make sure that it's adjusted, or not checked, or just that it's adjusted to 2024. I just caught that now.
Okay, we've noted the correction.
Thank you.
Sure.
In terms of In terms of the top priorities, I would say the biggest one is in terms of road resurfacing. So this is covering much of the work that was done last year. There were checks for sewer sleeving, pneumatic excavation related to lead pipes, some of the remaining fees for Kerwin Park. There were also fees or checks for a mini loader, work on the splash pad that's taking place at Fyon Park and Schwartz Park, and a repayment of a capital bond number 29. So those were the priorities or the highlights of this disbursement. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Erdely and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to item B. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract for the purchase of IT surveillance servers to Protect IP Solutions Solution Global, Inc. for an amount not to exceed $53,424.53 plus applicable taxes, that the described expense shall be financed in whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest bearing loan, that the city shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund, that the terms of repayment shall not exceed 5 years, and that the treasurer certificate number TC 24-0003 dated June 8, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So I'll just mention we were dealing with, I would say dealing with two issues. One was with regard to the age of the server, but also with regard to the limit. It got to a point where the server could no longer add more cameras, or we had issues upgrading and so on. So it got to a point where the server wasn't functioning to our needs. So this is to replace the server that deals with the cameras throughout the city. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to item C. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc, hold on, give me 1 second. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong page.
External auditors.
Yeah. So be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council, pursuant to the terms of tender C-0424-27, hereby awards to Deloitte SENCRL, the lowest conforming bidder at law, the following contracts. A contract for external auditing services for a term covering the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2023 to December 31st, 2027 for a total price of $307,590 plus tax. A contract for pension auditing services for a term covering the fiscal years ending December 31st, 2023 to December 31st, 2027 for a total price of $66,350 plus tax, that the city hereby reserves its right with respect to fiscal years ending December 31st, 2026 and December 31st, 2027, and that treasurer certificate number TC 23-0145 dated January 9, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023, and that at the beginning of each calendar year of the contract term, the treasurer shall issue a treasurer certificate attesting to the availability of funds at that time to cover the relevant portion of the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
So I'll just mention this is to cover the cost for our annual auditing. For the last several years, we've been going with Deloitte. And so this is to continue with Deloitte for at least 3 years. So it's basically a 3-year contract with 2 option years. The tender is up slightly, about 25% from last year. Sorry, 26%. Thank you. So it's up about 26%, which is a bit significant. However, we compare it to the bids from the 2 other auditing firms. It was still less than those bids. They did receive the highest score. And it is something we had expected based on what we're seeing in terms of auditing costs, especially with regard to new regulations and so on that the provincial government has put in place over the last few years. So all that to say, it is a larger increase than we'd hoped, but given the constraints and given the market, it is something that is reasonable. Thank you.
Moved. Seconded. All in favor? Okay, carried unanimously. And now we move to item D. Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. est résolu que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc autorise par la présente le renouvellement de l'adhésion à l'Union des municipalités du Québec, incluant la cotisation au carrefour du capital humain pour la période du 1er janvier 2024 au 31 décembre 2024, au montant de 31 503,67 sous, plus taxes applicables, que le certificat de trésorerie numéro 24-0002, daté du 10 janvier 2024, a été émis par le trésorier attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Azarad et appuyé par le conseiller Schuster. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
So this is the annual renewal for the UNQ membership. Some of the many services UNQ offers is training, legal advice, and much more. So this is the annual membership cost.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to items E. Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Councillor Seabag. Be it resolved that Councillor Dita Burku is and shall be named
One
Neves.
second. No.
No. I'm
We
not
are
nominating.
doing
7D?
7F.
My bad.
7F.
E.
Oh, 7E, excuse me. We're doing 7E. Yes, 7E. Sorry. 7E.
Yeah, but I have the old version. I've got the first version. Wasn't. Let me see again. How many pages total? 678? Yeah, it's totally.
You get a hard copy. The good
There
old
we
style.
go.
It's
We've
always
gone
good
old
to have
school.
one of those.
We've gone old school. Here we go. All right, be it resolved that bylaw 2621 entitled bylaw 2621 authorizing a loan of $3,559,000, including professional fees for sidewalk repairs at various locations belonging to the city of Côte Saint-Luc be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? You might need it for the next item. He's doing the next item.
Now I'm going to search, so I'm going to find it in my docs.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, go ahead. I did it last month when we tabled it.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Kajowski. I'll just mention the roads. So we have Smart between Arcadian and the CP tracks. We have Arcadian, we have West Luke between Wavell and Guelph, and Wentworth between Kildare and Mackle. And just to add that while these stretches of road are being redone, there'll be work done on the pipes, on the service lines on those streets to replace as many lead service lines as possible with copper pipes during the construction process. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well explained. Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Boop. Carried unanimously.
Perfect.
And
I just-
now,
I just have a
go ahead.
clerical clarification, just for Florine.
Yeah.
So bylaw 2621, the title of the bylaw in the bylaw itself is correct. It's bylaw authorizing a loan of $3,559,000, including professional fees for the resurfacing of roads and sidewalk repairs. So the words for resurfacing of roads should appear within the body of the resolution itself.
All right. So that was, you voted on it? Good. So now we're going to F. Councilor Kajowski. F, we're deferring, you're right. And then we're going to G. Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2623 entitled bylaw 2623 authorizing a loan of $1,187,000, including professional fees for roof reconstruction and building envelope restoration at the Aquatic and Community Center building situated at 5794 Parkhaven Avenue, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation. This was a bylaw that was tabled last month regarding the repairs to the ACC. There's an ongoing legal proceeding regarding these funds, but in the meantime, these repairs need to be done. So we're proceeding.
Correct.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to H, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2624 entitled bylaw 2624 authorizing a loan of 1,100, thank you.
117,000.
117,000. Oh, my mom's gonna razz me about that one. Okay. Including professional fees for the purchase and replacement of a backstop at baseball field T3 cage at Trudeau Park, situated at 6975 Mackel Road in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, be and is hereby adopted. I did better before. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion?
Just that, oh, I should do it in French next time. Just a replacement of equipment at the Trudeau Park T3 baseball field.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to item I. Councillor Azra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2625 entitled bylaw 2625 authorizing a loan of $188,000 for the purchase of vehicles and equipment be and hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Azra, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
So this is for two light vehicles that are being replaced, replacing older vehicles.
Okay, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to J. Councillor Azra.
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that bylaw 2626 entitled bylaw 2626 authorizing a loan of $839,000 for the purchase of heavy vehicles and heavy vehicle equipment be and hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Azra, seconded by Councillor Early. Any discussion?
So this is for two older vehicles that are being replaced as well. So we have a dumper, 10-wheel dumper, and a snow blower. Basically.
Great. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to Legal Services City Clerk. And now we go to item 8A, and Councillor Kajewski. This is your moment.
Here we go. I'll do it in French for Dita. OK. Il est résolu que la conseillère et mairesse suppléante Dita Burku soit et est par les présentes nommée mairesse suppléante de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc pour la période du 15 janvier 2024 jusqu'à la séance ordinaire du conseil de janvier 2025 inclusivement, et que la conseillère Burku ait par les présentes les pouvoirs d'exercer le rôle du maire lorsque le maire est absent ou dans les possibilités d'exercer ses tâches d'office.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any discussion?
Not necessary.
I would just say that I will give some discussion to say that she's been doing an outstanding job as deputy mayor. I'm so blessed to have you. Councillor Burku, I'm sorry that you're not feeling well today, but get well soon because we know you're always hard at work. So thank you for all your hard work. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously.
Should be noted, Councillor Burku with RSV attended our
In committee.
meeting before, and we all told her to go to sleep.
But at least there was a screen, so we all stayed.
Virtually.
Yes, yes,
So we're all safe.
virtually.
Very virtual.
Hopefully she's rested.
Yeah, now she should sleep. Okay, item number B, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the preamble of this resolution forms a part thereof as if cited hereafter. that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby authorizes settlement of the lawsuit, and in so doing, payment in the amount of $5,000 representing the city's insurance deductible to give effect to the above mentioned settlement. That the council hereby authorizes the city manager, director of legal services, and city clerk, or the city's general counsel to sign any document to give effect to the foregoing, including but not limited to quittances and any document which authorizes payment of the insurance deductible for the lawsuit. That treasurer certificate number 24-00001 dated January 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion?
So this is related to a lawsuit from a company called Ricova, which had sued the city of Côte Saint-Luc in terms of waste removal. And actually, I'm just noticing here too, I think there's some extra zeros in there. I'm just noticing there too. I'll show Met Schechter before just for the, but basically there was a lawsuit regarding a recycling contract. It was referred to the city's insurance company who ended up settling it. And the city has to pay the deductible for the insurance, which is $5,000. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Erdely and seconded by Councillor Kajewski. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to C, Councillor Azarad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the governance policy on the protection of personal information as prepared by the Committee on Access to Information and the Protection of Personal Information.
Okay, moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So this policy basically brings us in line with the new provincial law that passed. Some of the highlights are basically on how the principles of governance by the city of personal information, defines roles and responsibilities for protection of personal information, and describes the training and awareness that the city offers to its employees and so on.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. All right, now we're going to Parks and Rec. Councillor Schuster, item A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Redox Piscine et Spa Inc. for the maintenance of pools for the period between February 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024 for an estimated amount of $49,450 plus applicable taxes. That treasurer's certificate number 24-0006 dated January 9th, 2024 has been issued by the city treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster. Seconded by Kajewski. Any discussion?
Self-explanatory.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to B. Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw entitled Bylaw 2619 created the fee schedule for cultural, sports, and leisure activities for spring of 2024 and summer of 2024, be and is hereby adopted and numbered 2619.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. And I guess it's self-explanatory too.
Yes.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to Public Works. Councillor Azarad, 10A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the city of Côte Saint-Luc hereby renew the 2 existing contracts with Colostat Inc. for the 2024 year based on the following terms and conditions. An all-inclusive HVAC preventative maintenance contract for the Aquatic and Community Center building for the period starting January 1, 2024, ending December 31st, 2024, for an amount of $44,671 plus applicable taxes. Second contract, the regular HVAC preventative maintenance contract for 10 of the city facilities, namely gymnasium, fire station, public works, parks and recreation, Pierre Parks Chalet number 1 and 3, Rembrandt Park Chalet, and the 3 pumping stations of the city for the period starting January 1, 2024, ending December 31st, 2024, for an amount of $19,599 plus applicable taxes. that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0005 was issued on January 9th, 2024 to attest the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Azarad, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
No, I think that was self-explanatory.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we go to purchasing and general counsel, 11A, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2599, entitled bylaw 2599, readopting bylaw 2497 concerning contract management be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Mr. Cohen. Any discussion?
Yeah, so I'll just share a few of the differences. So, well, first I'll mention this is a bylaw that we adopt in terms of contract management every year or so, and we make modifications as needed based on provincial law and the needs of our resident and of course what makes sense. So I'll just share three modifications in terms of the latest version. One of them has to do with accessibility, to make sure when we are constructing or doing contracts, we keep in mind accessibility of the residents in mind. It also mentions in terms of how modifications are made to the contract. And finally, in terms of evaluation grid. So for example, we have two types of contracts, some that are based solely on the price and others where there's an evaluation grid or what we call an educational rubric where the different contracts or different proposals are judged. So it allows us to make changes to make sure we're getting the best bids, the best proposals for the city. So those are some of the highlights of the changes in bylaw 2599. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move to urban development. Councilor Kajowski, here it goes. 12A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby awards a contract to Groupe Civitas Inc. for professional services regarding road resurfacing for a total amount of $119,000 plus applicable taxes. That the described expenses shall be financed from the loan bylaw 2621-01. That the awarding of the aforementioned contract shall be subject to the approval of said financing by law by the Ministère des Affaires Municipales de l'Habitation, the MAMASH. That Treasury Certificate number TC 24-0004, dated January 9, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses. That the Director of Urban Development is hereby appointed to proceed with the evaluation of Groupe Civitas Inc.'s performance within this tendered contract.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
So this is just the professional services arm of the road resurfacing contract. Later on in the winter, early spring, it's just the planning phase of building those roads that Councilor Daly had mentioned earlier.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 13. Councilor Kajowski. 13A. 13A and B. Let's
Speaking
do
for
it.
too long already.
No, but you're busy now for the next little bit. So
Yeah,
take a drink of water.
sip of coffee. Okay. Go. I'm on zone, yes.
13A and then
Notice of motion. Okay, so I hereby give notice of motion that the first draft bylaw number 2217-63 entitled bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw number 2217 to authorize additional uses in zone CD-9 will be presented for adoption. I mentioned as well the object and scope of the first draft bylaw number 2217-63 entitled bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw number 2217 to authorize additional uses in zone CD-9.
and then adoption of the first draft.
Be it resolved that in conformity with the Act respecting land use and development, CQLR, Chapter A-19.1, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the first draft bylaw number 2217-63 entitled bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw number 2217 to authorize additional uses in zone CD-9. That in conformity with section 125, paragraph 2 of the Land Use Planning and Development Act, Council hereby sets the date of the public consultation meeting for which date? Do we have a date yet for the public consultation or no? Or do we require one?
The date to be determined.
Okay.
Florine will get back to us if that date is feasible. That's your best solution.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
and we
right.
do know this wasn't a controversial issue either. I mean, it was just an amendment to,
Well,
Yeah.
just to know, we have three of these, so we have to decide, are we doing all three
So
on,
what we're doing.
on the same night or different nights? So that's, I
So-
think we'll delegate it to the
Yeah.
city clerk.
Well, there's also materials that staff need to prepare, so, but you're right. If they're pretty straightforward, they can be done on this. Right. Yeah, the same night would be a very good idea. We're definitely, and we'll definitely look at the date you proposed. So to address, I think the mayor's point, what we'll do is in each resolution we'll adopt tonight, we'll delegate this to the city clerk because the law allows us to, and we'll shoot for that date and all three on the same night.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, City Clerk, Maureen. Sorry for at the beginning of the meeting for not mentioning your name correctly. Great. Okay, so it's been delegated and seconded by Councilor Cohen?
Yeah.
Councilor Cohen, any discussion?
so just to be clear, this is just an amendment to the previous zoning amendment or change of uses to add the daycare to the building at the corner of Cavendish and Kilda. We do need a vote, right? On
Yeah,
the,
we
on
do.
the
It's
draft,
it's been moved and
Yes.
seconded and now all in favor. Thank you. So it's moved by Councilor Jeffson, seconded by Councilor Cohen and adopted unanimously. And now we move to item B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion that a draft bylaw 2345-4 to be entitled bylaw to amend the bylaw number 2345 governing the demolition of buildings in order to adjust provisions related to the percentage of demolition, monetary guarantees, and other provisions will be presented for adoption. I mentioned the object and scope as well of draft bylaw 2345-4 to be entitled bylaw to amend the bylaw number 2345 governing the demolition of buildings in order to adjust provisions related to the percentage of demolition, monetary guarantees, and other provisions.
Moved by Councilor Jaffe, seconded by Councilor Sabat. Any discussion?
Oh, wait, that was the notice of motion, right?
Oh, that was the notice
Yeah,
of
that was
Yeah.
the motion, so,
Not the adoption.
so here is the
Now you need the adoption
resolution.
of the draft bylaw.
My apologies. Be it resolved that in conformity with the Act respecting land use and development, CQLR, Chapter 8-19.1, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the draft bylaw number 2345-4 to be entitled bylaw to amend the bylaw number 2345 governing the demolition of buildings in order to adjust provisions related to the percentage of demolition, monetary guarantees, and other provisions that in conformity with Section 125, Chapter 2 of the Land Use Planning Development Act, Council hereby sets the date of the public consultation for likely the same date as the previous
We're delegating.
resolution.
Right, so council would hereby delegate that to the city clerk and we'll
City
shoot
clerk.
for the
Correct.
same date.
We'll provide
And
it.
would to be located as well in the council chamber.
Moved by Councilor Gajowski, seconded by Councilor Sabat. Any discussion on this one?
We discussed it last month mostly, but it's just to update and modernize our demolition bylaw.
Great. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to C.
Here we go. I hereby give notice of motion that the draft bylaw number 2593-2 entitled bylaw to amend the construction bylaw number 2593 to adjust certain provisions will be presented for adoption. I mentioned as well the object and scope of the first draft bylaw number 2593-2 entitled bylaw to amend the construction bylaw number 2593 to adjust certain provisions.
Okay.
Now be it resolved that in conformity with the Act respecting land use and development, CQLR, Chapter 8-19.1, the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts the draft bylaw number 2593-2 entitled bylaw to amend the construction bylaw number 2593 to adjust certain provisions that in conformity with Section 125, Paragraph 2 of the Land Use Planning and Development Act, Council hereby sets a date or delegates the setting of such date for public consultation to the city clerk.
Yep.
To be located in the council chamber. See, I learned.
Very good. Moved by
Oh.
Councillor Jaffe, seconded by, you did right. Seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
Again, similar to the previous resolution, this is to update our construction bylaw. We spoke about it until at the December public council.
So you exercised your legal prerogative perfectly because the date, time and place of the meeting can in whole and part be delegated. So we set the we know the place, so the date and the time will be delegated. That's great.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Carried unanimously. And now we move to item 13.1, which is a site and architectural integration program. And it's, you got them, Rosedale, Robinson, Randall, Leger, and Palmer.
All righty. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the construction of a lateral extension on the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561459 and prepared by Studio AD for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 5th, 2023, and revised on December 20th, 2023, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Jaffe, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think we see it up there. It's very straightforward, very attractive facade modifications for a home on Rosedale in Councillor Burke's district.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension and facade modifications to an existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1561092 at 5565 Robinson and prepared by Meta Architecture Inc. for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 5th, 2023, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion?
I like this note. See that? Now it's on the previous page. It says returning project again. So this is a project that was previously approved in a bit of a different design. So the resident came back and made adjustments, I think more based on cost, but again, a really nice project right across the street from my children's school, Burton Elementary, so on Robinson. It'll be a nice addition to the street.
Great. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Now we go to
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing a rear extension to an existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560644 at 5611 Randall and prepared by Agape Plus Alt Architect SENC for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 5th, 2023, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
moved by Councillor Jaffe, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion?
So see it up there. Again, an extension to a home on Randall and unanimously approved by Pat.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to leisure.
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing modifications made during construction to the project originally approved on August 9th, 2021 under resolution number 210824 for the construction of a lateral extension and second story addition on the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1053040 for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of December 5th, 2023, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, moved by Councillor Jaffe, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion?
Yes, yes, there is. This is hopefully a lesson learned by home builders and home renovators in the City of Côte Saint-Luc that need to adhere to the plans that you present to the city. We have also learned lessons in this and keeping eyes on the road and eyes on projects, because unfortunately this has come back to council a few times and it isn't the ideal conclusion, but it is a good compromise that we came to on a home that was not exactly built to spec as approved originally in August 2021. So I just encourage all homeowners, everyone who renovates their homes to please ensure that the homes that you're building, the homes that you're renovating are built to the plans that you submit to the city, and to be respectful and mindful of our bylaws.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move to minor exemptions. Rosedale.
Palmer?
Palmer?
Yeah.
Palmer.
Yeah.
Okay, Palmer.
Yeah, that's a simple one. Okay, be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing modifications made during construction to the project originally approved on May 13th, 2019, under resolution 190543 for the conversion of the detached single-family dwelling at 8125 Mather into a semi-detached single-family dwelling on lot 3620614 and prepared for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting on December 5th, 2023. Be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councillor Jafsky, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion?
Yes. So this is a project that several of my constituents have brought to my attention and emailed me about. I can assure them that this was a project that was approved by council. It's actually a very attractive home that happens to be very close to the city sidewalk. So it basically was a home that was on Mather that was extended onto Palmer. So it's kind of a semi-detached with like a 90-degree semi-detached home. It's very, very interesting design, actually. I remember discussing it in PAC back when Councillor Burke was chair. But I would like to reassure my constituents that this was built legally. There were just a couple of very small changes during construction that were made. This is much more minor than the previous item. And this particular resolution is just to ensure that the city is not liable for any damages that are done to the walkway, to the pavillon on the house, because it's directly adjacent to the city street. So for snow operations and other public works operations, we want to ensure the city is not liable for damages. So we have that waiver in place.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to minor exemptions. Rosedale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5523 Rosedale, lot 1561459, be and is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the existing detached single-family dwelling built in 1956 under permit number 1956-00324 to maintain its current front setback at a minimum of 4.51 meters instead of the minimum required front setback of 4.57 meters, and to maintain its current west lateral setback at a minimum of 1.81 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RU-6, Article 4-4-1 and Article 4-4-2.
Moved by Councillor Jafsky, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion? We already did.
Legalize the setbacks on the home on Rosedale.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to election.
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding property located at 5714 Léger, lot 1053040, being is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the detached single-family dwelling renovated under permit number 2021-19776 to have a minimum front setback of 4.49 meters instead of the minimum required front setback of 4.53 meters as per the previously approved minor exemption, PM 2021-10, Resolution 210827. A minimum east lateral setback of 1.93 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. A minimum west lateral setback of 1.88 meters instead of the minimum required lateral setback of 1.98 meters. A balcony with a minimum distance of 1.80 meters from the west lateral land line instead of the minimum required distance of 2.0 meters. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217 Annex B, Zone RU-21, Article 4-4-1, 442, 443, and 445A.
Moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Azarat. Any discussion here?
Again, to legalize and a very diligent land surveyor.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now Pop.
Mr. Mayor, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of zone of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding property located at 5026 Palmer, lot 3620614, being is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the stairway at ground floor level to be erected inside a minimum distance of 3.65 meters calculated from the side of the city sidewalk or curb facing the building towards the interior of the land. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, article 4-4-2-1.
Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Azarat. And again, legalize.
Yes, sir.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And stance, Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the council take the following stance in view of the agglomeration council meeting to be held in February 2024 as follows: to authorize the mayor and his duly authorized replacement to make decisions he deems necessary and in the best interest of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and its residents regarding the items on the agenda of the agglomeration council meetings to be held in February 2024 based on the information to be presented during those meetings.
Moved by Councillor Sabag, seconded by Councillor Erdely. All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to other business as a deposit item. So, city clerk. Pass it over to.
Donc, je fais le dépôt du certificat du greffier relativement à la procédure d'enregistrement des personnes habiles à voter sur le règlement 2614. Et je déclare que suite à cette procédure convoquée et tenue du 8 janvier au 11 janvier 2024 concernant le règlement 2614 intitulé « Règlement 2614 abrogeant le règlement 2385 autorisant un emprunt de 50 000 $ pour l'amélioration d'équipements de terrains de jeu et l'installation dans le parc Pierre-Éliott-Trudeau ». Le nombre de personnes habiles à voter sur le règlement est de 22 401. Le nombre de signatures des personnes habiles à voter pour qu'un scrutin référendaire soit tenu est de 2251. Et le nombre de personnes habiles à voter qui ont enregistré les mentions qui les concernent est de 0. Par conséquent, le règlement 2614 est réputé approuvé par les personnes habiles à voter.
Merci. Déposé pour notre greffière. Second question. Do you have any questions? No. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded by Councillor. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.